Hey guys, awesome to see you. Nat here.
And Amanda Bits.
And today we're doing a topic that we've actually done before. So some of you might have seen it a few days ago. We wanted to do this topic because it's so hot. It is self-perception and body image. And we actually totally did it. We spent an hour rocking it out for you guys.
We did so much preparation beforehand.
And we had tons of people on the call, which is great. And we had about 500 views. But long story short, we played a song at the beginning. And then when I went to post it, it was like,
So, no, so good to know. Okay, we're going to do a good to know. No matter how cool the song is. Yes, I want the sunscreen song, you know, the one about enjoy the power and beauty of your youth. Oh, never mind. You'll look back on pictures of yourself in 20 years' time and contemplate how much possibility lay before you. You are not as fat as you imagine. Anyway, that was my funeral song and we made that mistake. So,
don't do it. Okay, so that's good to know. So we're back. So we covered lots of stuff. We're going to aim to do our best for you again today. So if you guys are watching this and you've got someone in your life that you think will benefit, whether you're live or watching replay, totally tag them in a comment because we want them to see, you know, we want them to hear this. And we want to hear what you guys think too, so make sure you comment on that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to kick things off.
Body image.
I'm going to kick things off with a story about, that just happened on the weekend actually with my boy. So he signed up for the Weet-Bix Triathlon. Tons of kids do that. And I'm kind of like, hey, buddy, like, you know, do you think it's a good idea to train for this? Like, maybe we should go for a run and everything. And he's like, Mom, and he's sitting on the couch. He goes, Mom, you always say, do what you want. And I'm like, ooh, don't you love when kids throw your advice back in your face?
They throw it back at you.
I was like, yes, this is true. Good point. I totally agree with you. I do say do what you want to do, you know, what you really want. But sometimes in life, we have to actually step back and reconnect our want with our why. Meaning I said to him, well, do you actually want to be like healthy and fit? And he was like, yeah. And I said, great. So do you think it makes sense to do some fitness? He said, yeah. Okay. I said, that's what I mean. Kara's back again.
We love you, Kara.
I was like, that's what I mean. So maybe you don't want to do these, you know, these donkey kicks with me on the ground. I was like, let me show you some exercises from my boot camp. I said, but does it make sense now? Anyway, he still didn't do it with me, but I was trying to highlight to him. And I guess the reason I got into this topic is with our kids, like how much of the responsibility is it of us to influence what they eat, how much they eat, and all that stuff? And sometimes, especially if for our certain kids, we might be getting a little bit worried that maybe they're eating too much, but we don't want to impose our own body image self-beliefs on them, right? But at the same time, as parents, we do have a responsibility to treat them with respect and to educate them and I guess empower. I'm really big on empowering kids to make choices for themselves. But I was kind of like, Jonah, you don't need that third bowl of cereal. Like we've started saying things like that to him. But I'd like to say, like, let's go for a jog, you know. What are your thoughts on this?
And he's going to go, why? Right? Because it's about finding motivation. Now, it's interesting that you say that because something that I deal with a lot in my work with young people, but also a lot of people of all ages, okay? I work with people of all ages and stages throughout their lives, careers, and families, etc. But particularly with kids, right? So what happens is my area of absolute passion due to my own personal history, as well as, you know, just to let you know a little bit, I came into this world and at 17 years old get a modelling course voucher, which of course is all about the body. And I'm like, get stuff, Grandma, I don't want that. And she's like, it'll be good for you. And I'm like, yeah, so are Brussels sprouts and eating lettuce leaves, but I don't want to do that either. And it did actually, before I got into modelling, I was actually into anorexia, so I just didn't eat at all. That didn't last very well because my, you know, I love food just too much. So I then, hey, Chrissy from the Netherlands. So we got Cara from San Fran and Chrissy from the Netherlands is so awesome. After that, I then launched myself into bulimia. And I got down to under 60 kilos. Now, my boobs are massive. I can't sort of really show you, but like, they're G's. I think they might even be double G. I don't know. They're massive.
Mine are like whatever the smallest option is. We're so extreme.
She could actually, my boobs are the size of Nat's bum. But anyway, that's a whole other story, right? And they're really big, so you can imagine how skinny I was. But I still saw, I just want to get rid of this. And if my thighs didn't stick out there. So it didn't matter how skinny I was. I still, you know, was in this whole grip of not being good enough and not being worthy. And of course, because no adult could tell me what to do, everyone could go, you know, flog themselves. It took me a long time to kind of get myself out of bulimia. Then we went into orthorexia at a later stage, but it's a whole nother story. Anyway, we it's so difficult when you're dealing with all this body image stuff. But it all starts from when they're little kids, right? So you get those kind of classic kids that are either super, super lean, like Nat has that problem, and she's going to go into that a little bit in a minute too, about entitlement to actually have a voice, even though her arms are super skinny, right? And I'm sitting here going, what do you got to complain about?
They're actually really muscly as well.
Well, they're really muscly. They're not like super skinny. They're just like lean. She's a lean, mean fighter machine. And then the next part is they can also get those really kind of rounded bellies, you know, like kind of those sort of like, you know, those little girl bellies and those little boy bellies, and they feel really bad about themselves. And then they go to school and they're getting bullied for being fat, usually. And then they try and stand up for themselves. And us as adults are quite often saying, well, just stand up for yourself. Go and tell somebody. And it's like, no, because then they're feeling like they're fat or believing that they're fat, and whatever you perceive is what you will be, whatever you believe is what will be, right? Perception is reality.
Yeah, whatever you believe you will achieve.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever you focus on grows. So if you believe that you're fat, then of course it's all going to grow. Thanks, Chrissy Langfeld. Still haven't managed to part with it yet. This jacket, she's like, cool jacket. The second part is that they're also getting bullied, and then the third part is they're going to be a snitch. Right? And kids, no matter what happens, they will not snitch. And then what happens is they end up internalizing and keeping everything to themselves because their parents are going, hey, no, we need to do something about that. I actually had really good advice on that, but you came across that the other day, right?
Yeah, and that's interesting because the snitch factor, I feel like there's an age around it, because like my kids are at that age where they're still young enough to keep us in the loop with what's happening, whether it be someone at school saying something not nice to them. The other day, Jonah had his hat taken off him, so I don't know if you guys know my boy that's got alopecia. He's 9. This is the one I was trying to get to.
Means they have no hair anywhere.
He has no hair on his entire body. So he's got alopecia totalis, or universal, right? So the whole thing. Anyway, so these kids, friends of his, were like grabbing his hat. You can imagine, Piggy in the middle, like throwing the hat. He can't get it. Not a big deal in the sense that he's totally used to being bald. Everyone knows it. It's not a big deal. But the fact is they took the hat off him when he, for some reason, had it on and wanted to wear it. Well, they actually have to wear the hat because it's term 1 at school. Anyway, so he did tell me, and I said to him, he told me about it, and I said, buddy, so what did you do? Oh, he's like, oh, I talked to the teacher, and the teacher took care of it. And I was like, great, awesome. Because he's at that stage where they will talk to the teacher, but I think as they get older, they get more aware and hyper aware of the whole snitch factor, and they will sometimes maybe tell you, the parent, and then you're in this position, well, do I say something or not? Because they're telling me in confidence. And so you get into that snitch conundrum. I mean, I had a scenario the other day, and I'm going to go into it in more detail when we do conflict and drama, which is another topic we're going to do. But long story short, my kids said to me, Mom, can you tell the mummy about this situation? They were asking me to tell, right? They wanted me. And in that scenario, as a parent, if you don't, because you're embarrassed or like, what will that mother think, then you're doing a disservice to your kids. But I'll elaborate on that story later.
And see, this is the whole thing, right? For all of you guys who aren't parents, and we know there's plenty of you, right? That's all fine and well that we're talking about what's happening to kids. But guess what? It happened to you. Right? So then what happens, hey Tina Warren from San Fran, then what happens as a kid when you've been bullied for being fat or overweight or too lean or whatever it might happen, is you go into this internalization, right? And then you turn into a teenager, and then it's all complex and you're moody and it's all that just being hormonal on top of it, and then we become grown people, grown adults, grown women, grown men. And then we're carrying this body perception and this belief about ourselves and this dis-ease with our body, this distaste sometimes with our body, always in a constant state of wishing and hoping. And then as a result, on a very deep subliminal level, it affects everything that we do. Right? It affects our confidence. It affects our ability to feel that we can step forward, stand up for ourselves. And the thing is, so this is like not about, kids being fat and bullied at school. This is about what they turn into, which is us, which is you guys, right? You guys, and what happens to you. And as a result, how it infects your life, whether it's on a really conscious level or a very deep-seated level as well. Once that seed is in there, it's really, really difficult, and quite often you cover it up with a whole lot of stuff to stop yourself from feeling so bad. And then you start getting into this whole guilt thing with food and your relationships with food, right?
Indeed. I mean, I was just thinking, the women that I work with, women entrepreneurs.
Hi, Linda.
And a lot of them, I run these networking events, and a lot of women get really stressed about, oh my God, what am I going to wear? And they look through Facebook, and they look at what other people are. Oh, she looks skinnier than me, or she's got better hair, or they start doing like comparinitis. Right?
Oh my gosh, comparison disease, one of the biggest problems of our time.
And then when they walk into the event, they're feeling like self-conscious and whatever. And I feel like there's so much we can do on another topic, write it down, around that kind of thing. And I feel like I've got a lot of strong thoughts on body image. And one of them is basically, I feel like it's like, love what you got. This is my favorite phrase. I really like, love what you got. And I said this in the last Facebook Live that we did that didn't get saved, so I'm going to say it again. I love my body. Okay, I want you guys to try to say that too. I love my body. Why? Well, I've done like many multi-sport races. I was an outward bound instructor, and I could take people kayaking and rock climbing and sailing, and that was so much fun to give them those amazing experiences. I've had 3 kids, natural childbirth, like this body, 3 kids, so exciting. Love my kids, obviously. And it's allowed me to travel and to do fun, amazing activities and to push myself, challenge myself. I was up on the sky tower the other day, leaning off the edge, which is a whole nother metaphor and analogy for work-life balance and everything. So I feel like I just want people to like love what you've got. Like I'm going, okay, my boobs are tiny, and I'm literally like the size of a 14-year-old, like my kid. And this is why we started talking about body image in the first place. He's only 5 kg less than me, and I'm 44, and he's 9. It's like, oh my God. But you know what? I'm like, love what you got. So these are my things. Love what you got. Do a reality check, meaning look at your parents. Like look at my parents, right? They are just like me, like they're pretty small. We're like hobbits, right? So, and they are literally on a diet to like gain weight. They're in their 70s, And
it's even like people like me. I just want to intervene here. We just feel like going, you know what? Shut up.
I know you do.
Like,
but I'm saying no. Talk to the hand. The skinny people have a right to say this. I'm just saying. So
that actually is our point.
Yeah, it is my point.
But I am actually going to step in when that's finished and actually say, actually, what about when you don't love what you got?
Yeah.
Okay, because that's what you're really here for. If you love what you got, you won't be listening to this, will you?
I know, but I do think it is a mindset shift to a certain extent, which I invite you to try on for size. Yeah. Okay. Hello, Karen. Great to see you. Thanks for joining us. So I was saying, love what you got. Do a reality check by actually looking at your parents and your genetics, because that is a large part of it. One of you data-related type people. I'm an otter, so I don't do data and analysis, but you guys might know the stats on like how much of your genetics affects your body today. Then look at your input, your output, meaning what are you eating and how much exercise are you doing, right? And the size of your plate and the portion size and all that stuff. And I
do want to go into that a little bit more, input, output, because we still haven't had a chance to talk to people that are really struggling with their weight.
Yes, we will. I'm almost done. I'm on my 4th point, which is then look at your experience. You know how you said, like, we're not talking about kids, but quite often, and this is, something happened in your youth when you were young, usually. Maybe your parents got divorced, or they were fighting, or you got bullied at school, or some sort of pivotal moment, big or small. And as a result, you turn to food to self-soothe. And I think for a lot of people, actually, and there's someone very close to me, my grandmother was quite a large woman, and I've got another woman in my life who's very close to me that are quite large, and I think a lot of it comes back to something happened when you were young, and as a result, you turned to food, and it became your vice or a way to fill the void, and I think that's what I'm talking about. So, to like, let yourself off the hook a little. Like, don't beat yourself up. Like, love what you got. And like I said before, like I'm really scrawny, but if you look really close, I'm super spotty. Like I literally was a Dalmatian in my past life. I'm really veiny. Like I look, I'm super veiny. I've got really muscly legs. So it's just like, whoa, there's a lot going on. But all that, I still love it. And I invite you to do the same.
Which is all great in theory, and I totally agree with it, right? You do, that's the goal.
They're like,
to be honest, no, not at all. It's the goal, though, is to learn to love what you got. The thing is, and it's like this whole thing, like I always sort of say, like people go, positive affirmations, right? Positive affirmations are great as long as they're possible, for example, right? So it's like I can positive affirmation this beautiful tangerine water, which is amazing, I must say, into wine until the cows come home. And I will fake myself because there's no way I can actually literally turn that water into wine. So you've also got to understand what's possible. But the other side of the journey is my one, which is complete contrast to Nat's, okay? And now now I'm at a point to loving what I've got. So much so that my horrendous stretch marks, because Isaac, my son, my only child, decided to sit a certain way in my belly, and I comfort ate, right? Because I was in trauma and stress, not about being pregnant, is exactly what I wanted, but I knew my husband and I weren't going to make it, and I did everything in my power to hold on to it. And so I then went into comfort eating. Now I want to go into this whole thing with the body going up and down, because I became a yo-yo model agent. So I went up and down, got fat and small, and then I got obsessed. You know, like once I got on the track and started losing weight, I'd become so obsessed, you know, about doing everything. And Isaac one day, my son, was just like, lick the ice cream. And I'm like, no. Even though it's licorice and it's my favorite, as disgusting as that sounds, he goes, Mum, if you can't lick the ice cream, you've got a problem. I went, no, I just don't want to lick the ice cream. I've worked too hard for this body. So I always have the saying now, don't waste your cheat food, right? So if you love cheese, right, don't waste it on rations, for example. Save it for cheese, right? So that's always a really big tip. Think about what you want to exchange for what, because you actually can't have it all. You can't eat whatever you want and expect to stay a reasonable size that you're comfortable with, right? So the yo-yo, I went up and down and up and down and up and down and would become so obsessed, right? And I remember walking down the road on a beautiful summer day. I had a gorgeous, beautiful designer silk dress. I had all my makeup on, and I'm walking along and the sun is shining bright, and then all of a sudden I catch sight of myself, okay, in a glass building, which I wasn't expecting. And I just saw this massive ham hock of an arm coming out of my shoulder. I was like, I recognize that dress. It was mine, right? And all of a sudden, I just looked like Christmas on a body, because I had these two massive ham hocks for arms. And I also remember my boobs were not just double G, they were H, they were double H. Like, that's like horrendously humongous, right? So that's what I used to say with my double H. So if you threw me out of a plane, I'd be able to take my bra off and use it as a parachute to get me down safely. That's how big my bra was, right? And I just went, enough. Enough. I've had enough. Right? I saw myself. I didn't get a chance to suck it in. I didn't get a chance to push my chins out and get the right angle and trick myself to being slimmer than what I really was, because, man, are we good at that? And I do want to talk about tricking ourselves in justification. I've got a really good analogy for that one. But anyway, I went, enough. So I thought, right, I want those boobs down, okay? Now, boobs are fat. We all know that. They're pretty much, memories are fat, okay? So I went, right, I'm going to go to the doctor. So I went to the doctor and I thought, right, I'm going to save up that 22,000 plus to get these boobs reduced. That's what I'm going to do. So I went to the doctor and they went, yes, you're definitely eligible for, you know, I took my bra off, woo, you know, one sits lower than the other. It's like a kid's bad painting. And then there's like, they sat on top of this big stretch marked belly. Okay, and my grandmother and I have pumpkin hips. When she was alive, she had pumpkin hips. So we had these little skinny legs, and then we have these pumpkin hips. So they're like pumpkins. And when we get overweight, we get our pumpkin hips. But I still have quite nice shoulders and décolletage. So I'd show off what I had.
I think that's all the rage these days, the whole Kardashian. Isn't that a pumpkin thing? Isn't that?
Wow, I don't know. The pumpkin's only up the back. This was a pumpkin all
Grandma
round.
was a while ago. Okay.
Was a whole
Grandma
pumpkin,
was ahead of her
front and
time.
back.
Anyway,
right, difference between the front bum and the back bum. We don't want that. We don't want that. So I had these pumpkin hips. And so I sat at the doctor, very exposed, and you know, I couldn't suck it in, and, you know, it was all just hanging there. And he said, yes, you're eligible. And I just went, okay, well, you know what? I don't want to be in this state. So we went back to what Nat and I went back to 2 weeks in our first Facebook Live. Okay, well, what do you want? I want a body. It goes back to Jonah as well. What do you want? And it goes exactly what you say all the time, in business, in everything. What do you want? And I went, well, I don't want to be fat anymore. Guess what? I did it again. Hey, call myself up, reframe that. Well, what do you want? I want a body that I feel comfortable in, right? And I don't want to be carrying around all this extra weight. I want a body that can actually put on a pair of jeans and not feel like vomiting. I want a body that actually is okay despite the bad lighting and terrible, just about swore, terrible mirrors in places to get swimsuits and bras and undies. And I just thought, right, I want to go in and actually go, you know what? You're this age. You've had a kid. This body has served you well. Exactly what Nat said. So I support that. It served me well. It gives me exercise. It's traveled me around the world. This has been a pretty damn good vehicle in the scheme of things. But I want more.
Exactly. It's not an excuse. You can't go, so it served me well. So, yeah, but you had to, yeah, that's right. You got to appreciate what you've had. But it's like, but what do you actually want
with
now?
That.
Yeah.
So my legs are my greatest asset. Well, I had fat all around my knees. I had fat all around my knees. It's like so sad when you get to that point. And the biggest I ever got was 91 kilos. And that is pretty big. That's the size of a small All Black, okay? So that's pretty big, you know. I'm tall, but not that tall. Anyway, I sat there and then I went, okay, you know what? I want a body that I love.
Yes.
I want a body that I can accept what I can't change. The stretch marks, I can't do much about those. Even if losing weight, I'm still going to have excess skin. I want arms that when I wave at people, they don't continue to flap after me, right? It's like enough of the ham hocks and everything. So then I went on a diet and I found one diet that works. And it's actually, I don't like to call it the diet, because this is a really good point that Nat made on our other Facebook Live that we did about this. I call it, it's a reset, it's a reboot. So it's no different to when your computer just goes, ah, with your phone, and you go, why isn't it working? And then you go, swipe, 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 get rid of everything, and then start again. Okay, so I found the reboot diet, but I'm going to share that towards the end. And that reboot diet not only changed my life, and it meant that I didn't have to go in and get the operation. Now, admittedly, I didn't get the perfect C's that I wanted, but I've got boobs that I'm really comfortable with, considering they have fed an awesome child for 15 months. Yeah, I breastfed for 15 months. And I also have got arms that I can now take my jacket off and feel okay. Are they Nat's arms? No, but if I wanted them enough, I could get them. It just means shit tons more burpees for me, right? It does. It means a lot more burpees and a lot more, and I love this word, right? Because so many people, they hope, the difference between hope and faith, okay? And when I changed from faith to hope, from hope to faith, it made a big difference. Hope, she's like a pathetic girl. She's lovely, sweet, bless her, hope. But she's in the back of your closet going, hope, I hope I get a slim body. I hope I can get what I want.
They're going to have nightmares
now. Yeah,
hope,
bless you. She's not mean, right? Faith comes and goes, right. Is it possible? Yes, it is. Do you want it? Yes, you do.
How bad do you want it?
How
What
bad
are the
do you
action
want
steps
it?
you need to
And
take?
you need to act. Action changes things. ACT. Act. Action changes things. So there you go.
Yes,
Back
I
to
love
you.
that. I love that. And
Take the talking
Yeah,
stick.
talking stick. Well, no, it's cool. This is good. We're on a roll. It's slightly different from last time, but that's what you get. Ditch the guilt. Like, I'm a huge believer in ditch the guilt, and I'm not just talking about weight and body image. I'm like in general in life. I just feels. And this might be annoying to you guys to hear, but it just feels really simple to me. So I'm still holding the talking stick. So check out my blog if you haven't already, which is all about doing what you want, and where I have the video of us, the replay. But I'm like, if you don't love what you got, you know, and you want something else, and you're really clear on what and why you want it, it's really important to know why. Like, if you just want to be a certain size for a
sorry, can I
reason.
just quickly say this really quickly?
Okay,
That's
yeah,
so good.
yeah.
You know your why. I love that Nat's referred to that several times, because this is the reason that we are friends. One of the reasons, because we know our why. We've got together doing this because we know our why, right? We're doing this for everybody and anybody who wants to listen to make their lives richer, because your mantra is...
I've got a lot of mantras. What is my
But
mantra?
your main one.
Do what you want.
Right? And I
Do
love
what you
that.
want.
My one's inspire, hope, and ignite change. So together, know your why. If you don't know it, Simon Sinek, S-I-N-E-K, know your why. My goodness, is that a TED Talk? Anyway, carry on.
Yes, that is a really good TED Talk. So ditch the guilt. If you don't love your job, if you don't love your life, if you don't love your body,
Yes.
I'm like, you know what? Connect with your why, connect with what you want, and actually do something about it. But you also have to have that reality check. Like, you know, I'm never going to have boobs the size of Amanda. Like, I'm just not. You know,
Well, you can.
Well,
but you don't want them bad enough.
I don't.
And you're not prepared to make the sacrifices to get them.
That's right. It is about, and it's not necessarily about time and money. It is about priorities. Anyway,
Yes,
lots of thoughts on
priorities.
that. Lots of thoughts.
And I do actually want to touch, this is a really important one for us as well, because little children turn into teenage children, and then teenage children turn into adults. And the sooner we plant the seeds, then the sooner that they will learn, okay? So, and that's the same with us. It is never too late. It is never too late to learn a gem of information. We do this. If you get one gem of information, awesome. We're stoked, okay? If you get a lot more, that's awesome. Please share that with us, because then we know what's resonating. Chrissy, thank you. Yes, Simon Sinek, reading this book again. The TED Talk's awesome. Linda Inslee, you're right. ACT is such a good one, and I use it with every single person that I work with. Now, you can imagine incarcerated youth, they don't ever get talked to, though. They get talked to by me. You can imagine I kick asses. I do. Because I'm like, okay, what are you doing about that? What are you doing about it? What's your excuse? What's your excuse? What's your excuse? Okay, well, guess what? Act. Stop living in hope and act, because that will take you to faith and belief and change your perception and your paradigm. So one thing that's really important to both myself and Nat is both parenting and for the children, okay? So I work with a lot of incarcerated young people. These kids have massive stories, but I also work with really wealthy people as well. So people who are on their knees because usually their girls are cutting, right? And or stashing pills, or they're binge eating. She doesn't eat all day, but she's got a packet of Tim Tams. I don't know what it is about Tim Tams. Same with models. I've built thousands of careers as a model agent. I was a model agent for 19 years, and I still build people for a living. Part of building them for a living is not only getting them to lose the weight, preparing them for Fashion Week in Tokyo or Milan or Paris or whatever, but sustaining it. And that's where we get so obsessed sometimes. And especially as grown women, not so much men. They kind of get a bare belly. They know what they need to do about it. And because they're solution finders, they just get on and do something about it, or they quit their whinging.
Yeah. Or not.
They don't complain about it because they know they're not doing anything, and they can't stand nags in women, so they don't want to be nagging themselves. So anyway, I get young people ready, and sometimes it has to be quite short spaces of time. 2 months is a short space of time to get someone really physically ready for something. I mean, you wouldn't prepare for a marathon in 2 months. If you did, you're a bloody idiot, and you'd have to have all the time in the world to be able to do it. But 2 months is not a lot of preparation time. So why do we expect results in a month? We give something a go for 2 or 3 weeks, and then we quit. Right? We absolutely quit on ourselves. But with our young people, I have such an extensive experience for years, not just for short periods of time, not just while they're going through something, but for years and years and years. So it's not just about losing weight, it's about shifting your paradigm and your self-belief and your perception, right? And sustainability is also really important. So it's about lifestyle changes, the choices that you're going to make. As I said, if I'm sitting there and I've got hot chips in front of me, for example, and rations, well, I'm going to choose hot chips every time. I'm going to sit there and weigh those two things up and decide if it's worth it, because this is rule number 1. Abs are made in the kitchen. I'm so surprised that not millions of people know that more. You can do all the exercise that you want. Do you know it takes you around about something like between 6 and 8 hours to actually work off a McDonald's meal? So is it worth it having that McDonald's meal? Or is it worth it to wait? I'm going to talk to you about cheat days shortly. Now, with our young people, do you know, here's a fact for you, okay?
Fun fact.
A fun fact, not so fun actually, just a real deal fact actually.
Right.
A truth bomb. It's a truth bomb. Did you know, in my experience, this is not everyone's experience, but in my experience, that the people that have the biggest challenges with their perception and body weight is, ta-da, wealthy people's kids. Yeah, get that one, right? Because they don't feel like they have any entitlement. And I want to go there with this with Nat as well, because she has had that same experience in a totally different way. So what happens for them is, because they haven't got trauma to blame. Like when I was young, I got fat as a house. I'm not going to lie, because I wanted to make myself unattractive to the men that were abusing me, naturally. Naturally, I deal with a lot of young people like that too. So they hide behind their bodies, right? And we'll go back to comfort eating shortly as well, because that's a really important thing that quite often you don't know that you're actually doing in this space and time, no matter where you are and what you're doing in the world, right? And they are really, really challenging, right? Because the kids that have all the resources in the world, right? So they have all the love, they have all the support, they have all the kindness, they have all the friends, they go to the right schools, they wear the right clothes, they have all the technology, they have everything at their fingertips, right? And everything's available to them. When they want love, they get love. When they want support, they get support. They have their parents like cheering them on, sometimes too much, right, on the sidelines in whatever endeavor they wish to pursue. Oh, I've changed my mind. I'm going to do art this time, and then I'm going to do dancing, and they set really big goals for themselves. They really do. They set these massive goals for themselves because their parents did it, so why can't they? Right? And then they start getting to a stage like, holy shit, what's going to happen now? I've got nothing to blame. And then they self self-sabotage. That's what self-harm is. It's self-sabotage. They need something to blame. So they become super moody and dark and switched off because they've got nothing else to blame. So then they can say, well, I'm depressed and I'm anxious. Then they start cutting. Then they start, like eating a whole lot and then not eating for days. And then eating and binge eating. And the binge eating freaks parents out. And do you know what? Why do we have to wait until our kids are binge eating and cutting until we call an expert? Because we have this whole thing that I'll be okay, or she'll be okay, we'll be able to do this ourselves, I'm too ashamed. And it's like, if you're one of those parents that's sitting there and going, I know my kid's in trouble, but somehow we're going to get, no, she will not be right, or he will not be right. Go and seek someone that can help these young people. Because I have I have seen too many young people with really big messes. So they don't just have a flat tire. They have 4 flat tires and a broken carburetor, and their lights aren't working. There's a whole lot of stuff that's not working with the expectation to continue to do well at school. Well, because you should, because you've got everything that you need. So why aren't you? Okay, so they don't feel entitled and they don't have voices. And then the parents freak out when they see cutting. Guess what? A lot of the cutting gets done under the breast. Yeah, there you go. There you go. It gets done under the breast, right, where no one can see it, because they don't necessarily want people to see that they're cutting. And if they are cutting where you can see it on their wrists and their arms, lucky you. Okay, because that is an indicator that they're calling out for something, right? And there's a lack of entitlement to feel that they should feel like that. And then it goes into guilt, which is exactly what Nat said before. Ditch the guilt, right? But you can't just ditch the guilt. You can't just like shed it off you like a jacket and just throw it in the bin, okay? You got to work out what action steps, what act you have to make to learn how to ditch the guilt. Don't forget, being comfortable with your body is a process, and it's sometimes a really, really long one, depending on your conditioning, depending on where you come from. And I think that's really important because, as I said, teenagers grow into grown adults who then influence others, okay? Influence their friends and influence everybody else. So I want to just really quickly tap into entitlement.
Okay, cool. But hang on. I am so glad that we went there. This is so important. Like, you guys, I'm just sitting here like nodding because I actually have three friends in the last, 4 months that had kids, daughters, teenagers going through stuff exactly like that, and it's from families that you would never expect, type thing. And I'm just like, and I say to them, listen, you got to talk to my friend Amanda. She works with kids. She knows how to deal with these kids. She speaks a different language to them. It's awesome. And one of them took her up, which is amazing, and the other were like, no, we got this. It's all good. And whatever. I'm not sure where they're at, but I guess I just, so one of my things, if you guys know me, I'm like obsessed with helping people. We both are. Very opinionated, both of us. But also, I want to help cut in half the suicide rate in New Zealand because it's super insanely crazy. The amount of suicide. One
young person under 25 every 65 hours. Just saying.
And it's not just young people at all. It's like other, people with like proper jobs and everything as well. So anyway, so not on my own. Obviously, people like Amanda can help. You guys can help. Everyone can help. And also saving a million marriages. But we will do a session on keeping the love alive later. We'll do a Facebook Live on that. But I'm so happy that we went there. It's a sad, tragic topic, but I want parents that happen to stumble upon this to know that you are not alone. There's tons of other parents out there.
And please share it if you think someone needs to share.
Why is my child doing this? And it's not just girls, right?
No.
Why is my child doing this? Like, we've given her or him everything, and then they don't know what to do.
Yeah, they really don't, and that's so debilitated. And the other thing that I do want to let you guys know of, again, from my experience, particularly if they're binge eating and cutting, okay, just consider cutting a little bit of a favor, because at least you can see what's going on, right? Quite often, that's why the suicide rates are so high, not just in New Zealand, but around the world. And as I said, I know the facts. It's one young person under 25 every 65 hours, which is, or might be 63, outrageous numbers, no matter what it is, right? And if they're cutting, you are getting to see something, okay? That's a freaking warning. And it's like a warning, do something now. Right? And cutting quite often does have pill stashing associated with it. And like, no, my daughter's not pill stashing. It's like, oh yeah, okay. Right. It's because I always say to them, right, because they're not going to tell you. They're not going to tell you they're planning to leave the planet. They're not going to tell you that they're so tortured and black. Because you're going to sit there and go, well, I don't get it. Do you want to talk to someone about it? No, they don't want to go to therapists, right? They need to go to someone that can understand them. And whenever I go into a room to say, no, just leave me with the young person, tell me what your story is, right? Because it's the adult's belief and where they see them sitting. And then I find out what the real story is from the perspective of the young person. And every single time I say, so how many pills you got stashed? And which ones are they? Are they like tramadols or what are they? Sleeping pills, what are they? Right? And absolutely every single time there's pills stashed. And I always put a really safe place around them. So if you want to give you a quick couple of warnings, right, is like whenever you're dealing with children and adults even, and certainly young people particularly, right, you have got to keep a poker face. Right? You have absolutely got to keep a poker face, because this, guess what, guys? And I can tell you this as somebody who suffered a lot at the hands and the mind of my mother. No matter what she did to me, and boy, she did some stuff, I still took on stuff, and I wore what I wore for as long as I did to protect her, right, to save her the pain. As children, and I remember it all too well, there's enough pain going on and we get this real nurturing side of us that comes out. It's like there are so many things that I made sure that I made arrangements with some of the men so they left my brother alone, because it's like I could put up with it. I've been putting up with it for years. I can certainly tolerate this as well, but touch my brother and that's it. I'm lifting the lid sky high, right? And it's like you have no idea what your young person or your partner or your sister or your siblings are holding on to that they're not telling you, right? And so what's really, really important is that they feel really safe to tell you as it is without you going, and getting your pained expression there, right? Is say, hey, look, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to be here for you, and I'm just going to absorb what you need to say, right? So create, again, we go back to what I said at the beginning with the first Facebook Live that we did, create a safe space for people to tell the truth. When you create that space and then come back and allow them to dump it into that space, and they've got their safe boundaries, i.e. I won't tell anybody. If I need, so like one young person, she was stashing pills, and I was like, okay, we're going to have to do something about this. And also, one young person had a really massive sexual offense that was done against them. If the mother had found out, and particularly this, I don't even know what would have happened for the mother, right? But clearly, I've got really big information on my hands because there's been a sexual assault on board. So then what I did is I took it to a contact that I've got within the police, and I actually took them then to a specialist, right? Said, hey, look, she's got some real big stuff. That's why she's cutting. And we actually took it to a specialist to get more out, right? And then we're able to then tackle that with the parents in a way that the parents could actually cope with it. It was extremely difficult. So half the time you don't know why they're hanging on to their weight or why they're binge eating. And that's a really big one. So call in someone that can help them. Okay, it's really, really important. Give them really safe boundaries. We say, hey, you know what, you're completely safe. This part here has actually got a lot to do with your safety. What are we going to do about it? So here's a quick few tips as well, especially when it comes to little kids, right? So for example, find out the why, exactly what Nat and I fully believe in. Find out the why. So here's the situation. I was bullied at school today by Tommy. Okay, how did that make you feel, right? So that's the first thing. What made me feel shit? Why were they picking on you, right? Because I'm fat. Do you think that you're fat? Well, yes, I do. Okay. Do you want to do something about that? Right? So it's all of a sudden, do you want to do something about that? Right? Because we can't necessarily stop them. But do you want to do something about feeling like you're fat? Because you're actually feeling like you're fat. So therefore you believe that you're fat. So do you want to do something about that? Yes, I do. Okay, then we're going to have to work this out together. Right? So, and then you're involving them in the solution. So that's number one. Yeah. Okay? So keep going, drilling down. Number two. Right? So you've attacked the bullying. Do you think that will stop the bullying? Well, that's because it's like, look for the solution, right? So many times people are challenge focused. Look, they're fat. Look, they're fat. Look, they're fat. Look, the dog had a poo on the carpet. Look, the dog had a poo on the carpet. How the men come along and just go, okay, can we just clean up the poo? That's what predominantly men do, right? The solution finders of the world, whether it's feminine or masculine, right? Let's clean up the poo first, okay? Because it's affecting the whole family and the house stinks because of it. So let's clean up the poo. And then you go back and find out what the dog might have eaten or did that made it want to poo on the carpet, for example, right? So sort the problem first and then go for the solution. So what is the solution? Stop being challenge focused. Right? Shift from being challenge focused all the time. And that's what we do. Challenge, challenge, challenge with no solution. Okay? The only solution, the only way into solution is act. Action changes things. A-C-T. So that's the second part. So how do you think we can prevent the bullying? Well, if I lose weight, then I think it will prevent the bullying. Have they got anything else that they could bully you about? No. Okay, well, let's really focus on this then because it's really important. Now, with regards to snitching, I'm sure you don't want to be a snitch, right? Because they don't. I promise you. No kid actually likes being a snitch, right? Because they get into way more trouble for snitching than to keep their mouth shut. And we will absorb, and we do that as adults. We don't necessarily tell people what's going on, you know, like, hey, you know what, you actually really offended me when you said this, because then it becomes all too difficult, right? So it's better just to keep it to ourselves. And we internalize again, and internalize without solving the challenge.
Right? I want to empower kids to stand up for themselves and people and those that they care about. And I think if, like, rather than the snitching is you know, that's one thing, but I want to encourage my kids at least to be like, hey, well, if something else like this happens again, here's one of the things you can say, you know, and we do like role plays, and I go, okay, I'm going to tell you you're a stinky bum. What do you? And they just start laughing. I'm like, no, seriously, you need to say to me, stop that. I don't like that. That's what they teach them in kindergarten. I said, if that feels too immature to you, you can say, hey, that's not nice. Don't do it again. You know, and my little boy goes, Mommy, that's too long. I can't remember that. Okay, fine. We'll tell them, tell them like, you know, you can even put your hand out or you can just like walk away. You know, so give them a few options that they can remember and that feel right to them. But
yeah, and really also giving them the options to be honest.
Stand up for yourself and people that you care about. I think that is important too. The culture.
And that's a really good point that you make about the kids too, giving them a few options, but also asking them, because you know what, one of my boy once, he was at primary school and he told me about this boy that picked on him, and I said, what did you say? And he said, I told him to go F himself. And I was like, wow, did that work? And he goes, yeah. And I went, okay. Right.
Do whatever works.
Yeah, and it's just like encouraging him instead of growling him for that.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously we don't want them to go and smack somebody out, but at the same time there's going to be consequences for everything as well. So it's really important that you give them solution-based, that are realistic, you know, like I think putting the hand up is going to say, hey, I already know that I'm fat. Okay, yeah, you haven't told me something I already know. So doing all these different examples so that they can call on it at that split second, but also for us as well. You know, we have to learn how to do that. And as you say, stand up for each other as well. Where do you want to go now?
Well, we got to do resources of the day. We're going to talk about one of the jackets. You're going to talk about that frame. So we got a few things. One of the things I wanted to say.
And we're going to talk about the diet, don't forget.
I forgot to flip the camera again. Okay, this says hashtag Heartspeak FB Live, which is hashtag Heartspeak Facebook Live. So I guess what I wanted to say, a lot of the stuff that Amanda covered is like super, you know, deep and full on, and you might not want to tag friends, you know, who you know are going through stuff. The other way you can tell them about this video is either just private message them or email them and tell them to search for that particular hashtag, and it'll bring up all of our videos. Otherwise, what you can do is you can click on the date of this Facebook Live, and then it'll give you, and then copy the link at the top. I know that sounds confusing, but I'm just saying basically, or tell your friend, hey, there's a great Facebook Live on the If Only They Told Me Facebook page.
I want to jump in here.
Because they might not want to tag their friends. I'm just saying.
No, you're right. Yeah. You're right, absolutely.
Like
and
snitching,
we're also going to be truthful here.
Yeah.
But don't forget, we offer a lot of different things about a lot of different things. So you can turn around and find out what they would be attracted to lead them into something else. So, hey, there's this really great thing about this diet that actually works, right? If that person is always like feeling like they're, you know, or there's this really great thing about entitlement, you know, that, you know, to be that, you know, just because you're lean, that you still have a right to speak. You might be interested, knowing that it might lead to other things, because that's why we do these all over, like cover so many topics, is because we want to kind of capture the hearts and the imaginations, and for people to, you know, come and say, hey, this is actually really this interesting thing about internalizing. You know, I don't know about you, but I know you internalize, and I certainly internalize, so this is actually really good about internalizing, but of course it's got all these other gems around it, so don't forget that part too. I really wanted to go back to what you said before, Nat, which I think is really important. Quite often in childhood, we, you know, that's the easiest thing for us to do is fill a void of any description with food. So we go into comfort eating or food to soothe or whatever it might be. And this is something that we have to be really aware of as adults, is that we become addicted.
And food as coercion as well. Like, hey, if you do this thing, then you can have the lollipop. You
know,
yes,
like that, I know, right? I forgot about that one. We didn't even remember that one last time. But it's like about the void, right? When something traumatic or big happens for you, you might lose a job, like, you know, lose your company like I did. You might have a divorce like I have twice. You might leave home at 15 like I did. You know, all these big things that happen. It creates a void, right? Because everything's shifted. Your life has changed so dramatically. Or even when you start feeling like your relationships, going downhill and it's not going to work. You know, you start getting into this kind of space, right? And you know,
Carla.
usually you go into food, right? Because food is the easiest, best thing that you can actually take control of. And food is something that we all need, and it's something that most of us love. There's very few people that I meet that just say that they eat food to survive, right? We're like, oh yeah, they look forward to food. And so be really aware, especially as adults, of what you're filling your void with.
Yes.
Because there are so many forms of addiction, like obviously food, drugs, alcohol, sex, those are the obvious ones, shopping, but also the addiction to things like, you know, texting somebody because you have to get a point across, right? So people have to get a point across. So they actually become addicted to getting a point across, or they become addicted to, you know, these really random things. So watch what you're filling your void with, because that's one of the biggest things, is that you're usually just shoving food into the void instead of actually going, well, okay, go back right again to what do I want? What do I want?
Yeah.
And I do want to talk about that diet. But
Yeah, definitely to cover the diet thing.
well, do you want to do yours? Let's do the resources of the day
we'll
first.
do the resources of the day. Okay.
Yeah.
So I've chosen every Facebook Live that we do. I'm gonna, because I'm like I love my essential oils.
Yeah.
So
I
I'm
love
one
them
of the
too.
founders actually in New Zealand for Doterra essential oils. So that's pretty awesome. So I'm gonna just share with you guys, because I love, it's all about educating people and also giving them tools and resources to make their life more awesome than it already is, basically. So these are the 3 oils that I've chosen for today's topic. One of my favorite oils of all time, Bergamot. Bergamot is one of the citruses. It is the oil of self-acceptance, the oil of self-belief, and also great for separation anxiety. So have a smell of that.
It's like one of my favorite fragrances. I love it.
You can actually put a couple drops in water. So this Doterra brand is super duper pure. You can put it in water. We've got the diffuser going. I know you can't smell it, but it's over there. And you can also use it topically, which means rubbing it on your body. So you breathe it in, that's aromatic, and then you might put a little bit behind your neck to keep wafting into your space. So bergamot is amazing to put in a blend if you're making for somebody who just needs a little bit more
some of that into my
self-acceptance. Grapefruit and Slim and Sassy. So I'll start with Slim and Sassy, which is the metabolic blend. This is amazing for boosting your immunity. Amanda's going to go into this, not diet, we don't like that word, ditch the diet. She's going to talk about her reset in a second. But Slim and Sassy is amazing for giving your metabolism a kickstart. Every morning.
That's what it's about.
Put it in put it in your water. You can also use it topically and rub it on your jiggly bits, like on your thighs or whatever, your ham hocks or whatever. So that one is really cool. It's got tangerine, mandarin peel, peppermint, cinnamon, ginger, etc., etc. Beautiful, beautiful. If you guys want to find out more, I will put a link below and you can find out more. And if you want a free consult with me, we can do that. Or if you want to order, we can do that too. And BT Dubs, if you actually order, 100 points of oils through me, because I'm doing Diamond Club this month, which is February, you get a free grapefruit oil. Now, grapefruit is also amazing for metabolism.
Yep.
And guess what else? Anger.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
You can diffuse it. You can put it in the water as well. So there you go. So that's one of my resources. The other one I wanted to mention is I've just signed up. I'm on week 2 of Food Box, getting the Food Box delivered. Now, yesterday we were sitting there having after school snack, and the Food Box guy rocks up with all these boxes, and I'm like, awesome. I don't like shopping. Like I mean, I love shopping, but not grocery shopping.
Who doesn't like shopping? I love grocery shopping. It's my favorite thing to do. I freaking love it.
Oh my God, it's because I'm not a foodie. I don't think about food. I'm literally the old, what's for dinner? Like 5 o'clock, I have no idea type person. So in my book, right, Jackie is the planner. She's super organized. I am the happy but hectic at-home mother of 3. So I'm like, I don't do planning, and I don't certainly
Give me your shopping, but I will do it. I love it.
I'm good. I got the Food Box. So anyway, it arrived yesterday. I'm on week 2, and I'm so excited because I don't have to go grocery shopping. So that's pretty cool.
Now, I'm going to talk about Amanda's analogies, right? In communication with people, I find that analogies have been really effective because, like, with men, you've got, like, around about 4.7 seconds. I don't know what the fact is, but it's very short, okay? And quite often, you know, with your sister, it depends on all sorts of people in our lives. Analogies are a really quick way to help people to understand. And especially when I'm trying to get women, particularly, as well as young people, but women, my focus here is on women, right? Because we have had years and years and years of kind of doing the same things and then shocking our bodies into this, shocking them into that, and all over the show, and then we get great results, and then we shit, and then we put the weight back on, and then we're all over the place, and, you know, and yeah, it's just like this never-ending Groundhog Day of up, down, all around, up, down. So, I've got a really good analogy for you. It's the pot belly. I've used this one 1,000 times. So the pot belly, imagine a pot belly. The pot belly only has a certain opening, so you can't stick great big logs on it like a big open fire. Our pot belly is like our, not literally our pot belly, but it's our metabolism, isn't it? And this is why I loved, this is why we really wanted to talk about the oils. This wasn't about promotion. This was actually about the things that work to help make things happen. Okay, the things that work to make things happen. And cinnamon and ginger, for example, are two things that are really, really good for kickstarting the metabolism as well. So there's the pot belly, right? Now, if you put a great big, yeah, exactly, pot belly. If you put a great big log on it, right, and the fire's only little, right? So like in the morning, you put this great big thing on it, it's just like, do I look really unattractive? That's pretty good, eh? See, I'm not worried about my body image. And then what happens is the fire goes out and it eventually goes, oh, this is just too hard, right? So it just kind of gives up and it sort of does what it needs to do, but it's not really running effectively. Right? But if you actually put, and you alluded to this a lot more in the last Facebook Live we did, and I absolutely loved it, because I also believe the same thing in food, which I learned through Dr. Dugan's book, which I'll tell you about in a second. Snacking, right? Snacking.
Yeah.
So, right? Snacking and snacking on exercise. I thought that was such a good one.
So my friend, I'll just do it. My friend Lauren Parsons, she's got this great phrase called snacking on exercise. And one of the things I do is I've got this rocket board, which is like a wooden board that you stand on and stuff. And it's so cool because you can literally do like 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there. And that is a great example of like snacking on exercise. A little short, she calls them short, sharp bursts, rather than thinking, oh, I need to go for an hour-long run. Because if you're thinking, I need to go, newsflash, you totally don't.
I know you use the word need.
If you want to go, great. Don't do it if you need to.
Yeah, totally.
Or if you
and
should.
So you've got the pot belly, okay? You've got the pot belly there. Put a great big meal on it. So I went to my nutritionist long time ago, Nikki Hart, and she gave me one of the best pieces of advice I've ever received, right? And she said to me, right, just eat what you would normally eat at breakfast. So we went to Dizengoff, one of my favorite cafes, and I had 2 pieces of toast with no butter, wilted spinach, and poached eggs. And I thought I was being really good. No hollandaise. I like my hollandaise to the side. And so there I am having my eggs, and she goes, okay, we'll eat the first one. So we carried on with our conversation, and I'm like, when's she going to hit me with this? You know, like what's going to happen here? And then she said, okay, now before you have the second one, I want you to pick up that piece of toast. So I had my first piece, and it was delicious. And she goes, right, now, you got it? I was like, yep. She goes, now put it all over your thighs. Smear it all over your thighs, and smear it all over your stomach. And I went, oh, no, I don't want to do that. No. What her point was is if I had given myself a little bit more time, okay, I would have found that I was full. If I had have chewed my food, like if you chew it at least 20 times, okay, that actually helps. It's not the be-all and end-all, but it helps, like with the piñata, okay, and like with the pot belly. Feed it little bits on a regular basis, okay? And that's actually made so much sense. She said, have the second lot if you want to. Have it at 11 o'clock. And then have your lunch at 1. But have half of it at 1 and then have a half for a snack. Or 3/4 of it at 1 and then 1/4 of it for a snack at 3 o'clock. It's the same meal. You're just distributing it throughout the day and it keeps me going. So when I get hungry or a little bit peckish, I'm not going to rubbish food. I'm actually just extending my food. And then going to dinner and keeping the dinners light. We all know we should be eating lettuce leaves and salads and acting like rabbits. Not acting like rabbits. I mean, eating like rabbits. Right? So the pot belly.
Subliminal.
The pot belly is a really, really good one. And the thing is, the focus is to, when your metabolisms become sluggish and lazy, then you hit it like a piñata on every angle. You would never just hit a piñata once and expect everything to come out. The lollies, okay, the grapes and cherries and raspberries or whatever. Okay, you'd never hit a piñata once and expect it to come out. You hit it with everything you got from multiple angles. So there's a lot of quick little tips that you can do, like, green tea. Green tea is a really great thing. Oh, I don't like green tea. Okay, well, if you don't like green tea, well, that's not going to help you, is it? Cider, apple cider vinegar in the morning, lemon, the oils and water actually helps because the metabolism goes, oh, hello, I'm awake. Right, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? Right? And also dividing your meals up is a really good tip. Having your snacks is a really, grazing on a regular basis is a really good tip. And snacking on exercise is a really good tip. Take the stairs where you can. Walk that hill when you can. Instead of going on the escalators, go upstairs if you can.
I made this little thing for myself because I'm always checking Facebook. I was like, okay, I didn't stick with it for very long, but it's a good idea. Trigger. Every time I check my Facebook messages, I'm going to do like 10 squats or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
Or you go to the playground with your
Press-ups.
kids, and it's
whenever
like,
I went to the bathroom.
actually go and do like 3 chin-ups or something. So I'm kind of like, get off the sidelines, you know.
Yeah,
and
totally.
Get into the action.
You get into the action, exactly. Act. Action changes things. Action changes things. So anyway, I think the snacking on exercise is also really, really important. And just remember, it's a mind game. Okay, fit body, fit mind. As one of my top lawyer friends said, fit body, fit mind. Okay, it is your mind that gets you out of bed in the morning when you want to stay in and it's a rainy day. It's your mind that says, no, you're not going to have that. You don't need it. Okay, why don't you chew that 20 times each mouthful first? And if you still want it, then you can have it, which is a really good point that you made with regards to...
That's right. My friend Michelle Yandel, she went on the AM show a few weeks ago. Again, I'll put the link below. And she basically was talking about intuitive eating and also empowered eating. Like, so it's like, if you really want that, then have it, but really enjoy it and really taste it and really be present with it, instead of like eating it and then feeling guilty. Like, that's what we don't want. We want, if you want to have that piece of cake, great, have it, but have it with presence and decision and make an empowered choice. And then you can, I mean, cake is great. You know, it's everything is... You don't need to say, I don't
Life
eat this,
is meant to be
eat that.
enjoyed, right? It's meant to be enjoyed.
But do what you want and know why you're doing it.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right,
and be mindful
let's do
on
the frame and let's do the jackets.
Yeah, well, actually, I've got to be real quick. I know you want to do it under 40 minutes, but this is really important because I promised that we would do it, right? The reset diet. Okay, the reset, the reboot, okay? So, years and years and years, yo-yo up and down, taking care of models, getting them ready, blah, 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 blah. Lots of women and men and all that kind of stuff. And I have put everything from teenagers on this to, you know, young women to middle-aged women to the oldest is in her 50s, okay? And a very, very dear friend of mine is on it right now, and she lost 3 kilos in the first 3 days. Now, that sounds ridiculous, right? It's like, how can that happen? I don't believe it. If this is the case, then everybody would know about it and there'd be a whole bunch of billionaires around the world. I know, okay? I'm not pretending. I've never, ever said this on the public domain, because it's always been something I've done in a really private way, because it just sets us up for, oh, you are this and you haven't thought about that, and what about this and nutrition, blah, blah, blah. Look, I'm not a nutritionist. I'm not an expert on anything. I know little bits about quite a lot, but I'm not an expert on anything. All I know is from my personal experience and my experience with, I don't know, probably up in the high, just under 100 people I have put this on throughout my entire time that I knew about this. And it changed everything for me, okay? That's all I can say. And it's changed everything for everyone who has ever been on it. Now, what you choose to do afterwards, of course, is up to you, right? And what choices you make is completely up to you, you know? It's like, but if you want results, like I did that time when I went, enough. Things have got to change. So when I did the enough, things have got to change, and I was sick of the yo-yoing. Up, down, up, down, up, down. Get rid of clothes because I'll never be skinny again. Oh my gosh, I'm skinny again. I have to buy a whole lot of clothes, which is kind of great, but not, right? So it's up, down, up, down, up, down. And honestly, for me, it was annoying. For the first time in my life, I am really happy with my body, all of its flaws included. I exercise, I'm balanced in my food and my wine and everything that I do on that side. And I love food, and I never feel guilty. Ever.
Yay.
Ever. I never feel guilty anymore about food. If I want it, I have it. But having said that, I'll make a decision. Exactly, empowered eating, right? Chocolate cake just doesn't buzz me out. Amazing moist carrot cake with lots of cream cheese icing, right? Don't blow your calories on shit. You know, if you're going to blow them on something that just you love so much, right? Yes. And I'm really, really big into that. So anyway, here it is. And you can criticize till the cows come home, and I don't really care. It's actually up to you, because I thought, am I going to die by doing this? No, because I'm not starving myself. It's a very weird combination, okay? It's a very weird combination, but here it is. And it was recommended to me by a friend who I really, really trust. I know they know their stuff, and every single person I put it on, bar one, and I think it's because they didn't follow the rules directly, because they just didn't want to go without their wine, has succeeded from this in some form. And the big fall over and the difference maker as to whether people sustain it is what they do after it. Just like any reboot. You can reboot your computer, but if you walk away from it, it's not going to be any use to you whatsoever. Same with you. Guess what? Same with you. Same with your body. Same with your mind. Same with your heart. Same with your spirit. What choices you make after it is up to you. But this is a rebooter, and here it is. It's called the GM diet. It's the General Motors diet. So General Motors, the car company, had a whole lot of staff that were quite lethargic and sluggish and weren't performing very well, which, guess what? food does that to you. Okay? Because if you don't have the right kind of food, that's absolutely fine. You eat whatever you want. But you're going to be sluggish. You're going to be slow on the uptake. You're not going to perform as well. That's a fact. Okay? And so they created this diet, or they got some experts in to create this diet, and it's weird. There's like bananas and milk on one day, and you can actually have replacements of things. But at the end of the day, you kind of got to follow it by the letter, like anything, right? And I think it's a reset. It's got to, I don't know whether it's acids and alkalines or whatever it is. That's not my job. It's not our job, actually. Go research it yourself. Go and check it out for yourself. We're not telling you what to do. We're just telling you what works for us. We're just telling you what we know and sharing our experiences in the hope that it might inspire you or inspire you to help someone else as well, right? So it's really strange, like tomatoes and meat on one day. There's a really amazing vegetable soup, really difficult for a really dear friend of mine because she can't do onions. She loves them, but she's not allowed to do onions because she's deathly allergic to them. So there's all sorts of replacements that you can get. But if you go too far off the track, then it's kind of not going to work, okay? So if you can follow it by the letter, I promise you there will be results, okay? There will be if you follow it to the letter. And you don't starve yourself. Definitely the first 3 days, eat as much as you want of whatever they recommend. After that, you've got to be quite stringent. So naturally you reduce your appetite. But you know what? That's a bloody good thing because we actually don't need that bigger meal. Go back to those 2 eggs on toast, for example. We don't actually need it. Do we need it or do we want it? Needs or wants? We need to talk about that.
How long is it for?
7 days.
All right.
7 days and then it's done. And then after that 7 days, that's actually a really good question because I forgot to answer that. So it's 7 days. After that, I personally went on to Dr. Dugan's Lean Clean book. And I just thought, oh, here we go, another book that tells me to eat seeds and chairs and lettuce leaves and carrots. And
kale.
Yeah, and kale. Kale. Love kale chips though. And so I just thought, here we go again. But it's Elle Macpherson's body coach. So, hey, I think you might know a thing or two about a thing or two. So shut your pie hole bets and go read it and at least learn for yourself. And so I did shut my pie hole. I had to shut it in more ways than one. And I filled it, my pie hole, with the right kind of things, right? And oh, guess what? I lost a lot more weight, right? So I actually lost 17 kilos in total. And then I went into super, super strict and obsessive. And again, filling a void. Don't do
that.
Don't do that, right? And then, don't do that. No.
I like that. Yeah,
you're so good at that too. Right, so then I swung the pendulum too far. So watch the pendulum, okay? Watch that you don't swing it too far. That's a really big one. But yeah, it was really, really good. And guess what the best piece of advice from the diet book was? I love this. Look, smug. Have a cheat day. You have to have cheat days. They're really, really important. And the cheat day, you actually literally can eat whatever you want. And it's like that is when you go into empowered eating. What the difference is on your cheat day, you decide that you've done so well that you don't want to put rubbish. You make a choice about what you want to put in. You can still eat rubbish. Like, I love the SPQR pizza garlic bread. It's absolutely amazing, right? But at least then I'm going to make that real choice to enjoy that as part of my cheat. The real choice to enjoy my pizzas or to enjoy my burgers or whatever treat that you like. And it's like, I absolutely agree. Love what you got. And empowered eating, as corny and cliche as some of you might think that is, but it is. It's actually about being really super present and actually stopping to eat, sitting at the table together, to connect, not just to eat, but to connect with each other is just such a special, special thing to do. So I think that's it from me.
Yeah, and so on that note, thank you for connecting with us today, by the way.
Yeah.
So we're going to do this, and then we're going to do jackets.
So I just really wanted to quickly show you this. So we're doing this resin art. So we're about to get it resined with myself and Megan Belsvetti. We did this with with some incarcerated young people, and this is actually done by a boy, by a guy. He's 15 years old, and he this was actually all about the black and white darkness of his mind. That's a Lindy Kingy cross there, to always follow his faith. And that is going into the depths, like is it the red pill or the green pill? So it's quite Matrix-like for him. And he created that story, and he can either sell this, we will sell it on his behalf, or he can either keep it or give it to whānau, but he's now got a tangible thing about his creativity. So thank you for all of you guys that are going on to our auction, which is actually on the Instagram, and I'll make sure I share it on this link afterwards as well. We make these jackets. And I'm wearing this, my probably will know one, which I'll tell you about another time. But this is made by a 15-year-old girl, okay? So basically what this one is about is it's like she really wants to go to New York to study art. It's her absolute passion. And everyone's like going, oh, you'll never make it to New York. It'll be really hard. It's going to be so difficult. And she's ignoring the voices in her head and the voices of others. And this is actually the tiger, to follow her natural, her inner animal and her instinct and her intuition. And wow, what she's doing is she's won an award last year, which is really, really awesome. And she's on her way. She's taking action steps to get closer. This one is available for sale online at the moment. It's really super cute. As I said, I'll put the link in. It's on the Bridge the Gap Project Instagram at this stage. And then the last thing is I really want to go back to miracle moments. But miracle moments are actually asking for what you want, because Nat was so big on this topic as the first one out of the gate, and I thought it was awesome. And there's two things here. First of all, you have to know what you want. We discussed that. If you want to have a look, go back and have a look on the Bridge the Gap Project, know what you want. I think we can actually put a little link there or whatever. But it's like you've got to know what you want. We spend so much time about what we don't want. Well, I went with my friend Megan around this beautiful lake, McLaren Falls, in the middle of the North Island, and it's extraordinary. And we saw this beautiful duck with these beautiful green feathers, and I was like, I want one of those green feathers. I want one of those feathers from the duck. And then there's this big open space, and there was like goose poo and swan poo and duck poo everywhere, right? And we're like, oh, look at this. I went, well, sometimes you have to get amongst the shit to find the treasures, right? But I'm not going to find a green feather just by walking along a path, right, where there are no ducks, right? So we went in, both of us did, we mucked in. Wow, lo and behold, I found one. See how green that is? But guess what? I found another. And another and another. I found 5 green feathers in total, okay? Which is absolutely amazing. So when you put it out there to the universe about knowing what you want, this is like a miracle moment. I mean, geez, how amazing is that? Not only did I find one, I found 5 feathers from that duck with green on it. And guess what? I didn't have to kill the duck. It was awesome. The next thing is when you know what you want, you have to go where what you want is. I'm not going to find ducks in my house, in my bed, am I? If I want a green feather, go where there are things with green feathers, and oh my gosh, amazing. Take action, and you just might get one. But first of all, know what you want. There's Amanda's miracle moment. Yeah.
Nice. What an awesome way to finish. So thanks, guys. So next time we're looking at doing either forgiveness or drama and conflict.
Yeah, like drama and conflict we thought was really good. But we'd like to hear from you. What would you like us to cover?
Yeah, you guys can choose any topic that comes to your own mind. Otherwise, let us know of some of the ones we've mentioned.
Addiction's another one. Hold on. Addiction we had. How to apologize. Chakras. Karma. Judgment. Leveraging. Loneliness,
keeping the love alive, lots of choices.
Oh, you're keeping the love alive. Okay,
so definitely comment and let us know, because we want to talk about what you guys want to talk about too. So let us know. And also, if anything today like stood out to you, you know, maybe it wasn't a massive aha moment, but if there's any golden nuggets that you're taking away, like comment below and let us know.
Well, let us know privately. There's been lots and lots of amazing private messages. If you guys have the courage to actually let people know on the public domain, we actually love that, because what it does is it lets other people, it gives them the permission, which you said on the boundaries one, it gives you the permission or others the permission to feel like they can come forward. Share your miracle moment. Have you got one? I'd love to hear it. We'd love to hear it. Whatever resonates with you, if you have the courage to share it, and then other people get inspired by you, sometimes when you don't even know. When we've got 4 people that are on this right now. I'm sure it won't stay to 4 views. So loads and loads of love.
See you guys. Thanks so much.
Heartspeak Facebook Live. Mwah. Oh, actually, before we finish, because they can switch off now. You guys can switch off if you want to. But what I want to do...
Don't tilt it.
Oh, don't tilt it. There we go. Don't tilt it. Get that board. Can you get that board?
The rocket one?
Yeah. And can I actually flip it without...
No, don't flip it.
Okay.
Just hold it. Can you see?
Yeah, I can see you. So
okay, well, this is the
you guys can sign off if you want. But if you want to see this board, it's amazing. Hold on. It's amazing. Go, babe.
So as you can see, already I feel it, and then you can do different things like to the side, you know, so I feel it here more, and then...
Speak up a bit more in case I can't hear.
Oh, well, they can just see it. They can see it. And then there's a few other things. Can you still see me?
Yes, we can still see you.
Arms.
She's planking. Oh my gosh.
Wait for it, and can you still see me?
Yes.
Okay, then I'm going to stand on it.
What?
It's balancing. I'm using my core, and now we're going to do some...
Squats.
Yeah.
Emma Louise, we love you too, honey. You're doing squats. That's so awesome.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. Who did that quickly, by the way?
That's from Rocketboard. It's a New Zealand company. I'll put the link below.
Okay, she's going to put the link below.
And a promo code if you want it.
And promo code, okay. Remember, you're not as fat as you think.